The NFL has proposed multiple new rule changes, and they are some interesting ones, and they come with a lot of debate. We're going to do that right here as well on the 32 Blueprint. Welcome in Thursday, 32 Blueprint here at the Ultimate NFL Experience podcast. I'm Christian Rao here at Nick Maravets, and we are going to break down really another eventful day. I mean, there's a lot of good things talking. We got some rule changes to talk about. There's some interesting rules, not just the tush push. Although the tush push is there. We got a lot more to talk about with that. There's a new update with the Aaron Rodgers saga.
Yes.
That. And then we're going to talk NFL draft because as of today, we are only 5 weeks away, Nick.
Oh, I'm getting fired up.
From the frozen tundra. But it'll be spring. It's still probably frozen tundra in Green Bay.
In Iowa too, probably.
North Iowa, right? Isn't there like I saw a meme today and it was like North Iowa and it was a guy sitting in snow by a fence and it said South Iowa and it was like sunshine and it's like he was wearing shorts. I thought it was perfect. It's like absolutely.
It's definitely that's a real thing. We got snow today and I'm in relatively-ish North Iowa. Yeah, that's a not a fun deal. Not a big fan of that.
Social media had wrestling pop up on my feed a lot today. It was not WWE, it was AEW. I think because they had some kind of pay-per-view or some kind of show last night, and it was in Omaha. And by the way, Omaha, check it out. And they had a whole bunch of snow, and it was apparently a big deal. They actually went and did the show. So, yeah, we'll see what happens when it comes in April. April 24th to 26th is the NFL draft. So we will get talking about that 5 weeks away. How exciting is that one?
5 weeks away. I can't wait. I got one more point on the snow. Ladies and gentlemen, please hit subscribe and like this show. It's completely free, and it will fund the windshield wiper that was stolen off my car. Driving in the snow to work today was an absolute bonanza. Don't know why someone took one windshield wiper, neither here nor there. Please fund my windshield wiper. I beg of you. Let's jump into
one windshield wiper?
One. And the driver's side. Yeah. Don't need to get into it. Does not make any sense. But that was a wild realization to make that no, it didn't fly off my car. It's gone. It's completely gone. So let's just jump into these rules because I was firing off some Twitter tweets, X posts, whatever it is. This is gonna be fun. These are gonna be some great rules. Let's chat about it.
Yeah, biggest one. Let's start with the biggest one here. And it's not the tush push, although that is one, but that's the one that people are talking about the most this offseason. But I think that's going to change after what just came out here. Detroit Lions put out, and let's go with the official wording here. Let's get all official. Let's put the bow tie on here. Let's get in there. I didn't even wear a hat for this. This is how official we're wearing. But the Detroit Lions amend Article 20, Section 20.2 of the Constitution and bylaws. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
To amend the current playoff seeding format to allow wildcard teams to be seeded higher than division champs if the wildcard team has better regular season record. Now, this all stems from the fact that this past season, the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions were pretty good. I mean, they were pretty good under this system. If this would have happened, the Lions would have been the number 1 seed last season, and the Vikings, who although finished 14-3, had to go to the 5 seed, would not have been a 5 seed. They would have been most likely the 2 or 3, right? I think probably a 1-2 in the same division.
Yes.
This one's interesting because I think you can make the argument because you want the best teams 1 through 7. I think that's a fair argument. But on the other side, we already talk about the fact that divisions don't really matter too much in the NFL, although you do play them twice every year. That would make it feel like divisions mean even less. What's your take on this?
This is ridiculous. Let's just get rid of divisions entirely and just play random teams all year and try to even out what you're playing where. Because if you're playing the same 3 teams 6 times, that's not a good representation of the field. And if you're going to make the seeding about the field, the overall record, then the division is literally completely pointless. I thought this was you read it and you're like, okay, I see where they're coming from. That's neat. Then you have the second thought. And you're like, no, that's stupid. That is so dumb. Why would you ever, if you're going to change it, you have to completely do away with divisions. And then it's just AFC, NFC. It's a totally different structure. It's not the NFL. If you want to go that route, that's fine, but it's just not the NFL.
What if you did this? Now, this isn't proposed, but this just brought up my head once you said that. You have a 17-game schedule right now. There are 16 games or 16 teams in the AFC, 16 teams in the AFC. If you did this rule, I think you would have to get rid of divisions. I agree with you. I don't think you could have divisions and then not care about what the divisions do for your standings. And, you know, if you win the AFC South, if you win the NFC South, I probably should use that one because they had 9-8 record last year. If you win the NFC South, your best is going to be a 7 seed. So then you're playing another division winner. That means you don't get a home field advantage. What's the point of divisions? But if you want to take that route, you have 15 games against all the AFC opponents. You play every single opponent, AFC versus AFC. That's 15 games. You leave 2 more for 2 random NFC teams. I mean, I would play. I would do that. That sounds fun.
That makes sense.
And then and then the opposite side, you have 2 NFC teams or 2 NFC versus AFC teams, and then you have NFC plays all the NFC teams. Then you guaranteedly know that look, I just added one.
Look at that. That's another t-shirt, baby. Come on. Here we go. We're pumping them out.
That's going to fund your windshield wiper right there.
I hope.
Guaranteedly it will. Now, let me say this, though. If you had a schedule where the New England Patriots played every single team in the AFC before the postseason, and they went 10-7, and after playing the 2 NFC teams, if you will, and they were the 3rd best team in the AFC once that was all said and done, then yeah, they deserve the 3rd seed. Because there is no debate about, well, they didn't play the Chiefs. They didn't play the Ravens. They might have played the Jets twice. You know, the Texans might have played the Jaguars twice.
But then you're getting close to just it's a round robin the entire year and the best records get in. Like, then why do we have division winners?
And because then what's the point of the playoffs? It'll take the pizzazz away from the playoffs.
Look down the road here. If you do that, to me, if you do what the rule changes stating, and you don't change the structure, then divisions just mean effectively nothing, because there are divisions that are very, very good. And I get that this rule is tailored towards that, but like, what about a division that's kind of 50-50? You can't really say the AFC East is that way, but let's just theorize and say that the Patriots are right behind the Bills. So the Bills and the Patriots are really, really good, and the Jets and the Dolphins are not, right? That's 4 free wins. That's 4 free wins at the bottom there. And then it's like, okay, well, you just picked up 4 wins in your division, and now that counts towards an entire record. Like, that doesn't really compute. So then you are working down that road towards, now it's a round robin, best records get in. There is no real home field. There's no it just takes, I hate it. Do not do this.
My proposal was more playing devil's advocate. I don't want
and I think that's where it's going. That's where it would go.
This is where I think if it went this route, it would be terrible, because one thing the NFL has, although it's not like college football where conferences mean more, right? Divisions don't mean as much as conferences in college football. I get that, but divisions still mean something in the eyes of professional football. If you look at other professional sports, NBA, you couldn't tell me who's in the Atlantic division right now.
Yeah, you can't.
You couldn't tell me who. You could maybe tell me who's in the Western Conference, but could you tell me who's in the Pacific division of the NHL? No. How about the Metropolitan? Could you tell me who's in there? No, you couldn't.
I wish I could.
And that is why people don't pay attention to although they have a 82 game schedule. That's one portion, but people don't pay attention to those regular seasons as much. They only focus on the playoffs. With the NFL, they pay attention to every single second. They want every single moment, and they want shows that show you every single play. Why does Red Zone still work? If you take away that feeling of the fact that the Bills play the Dolphins twice a year, where you know that Miami's coming to Buffalo when it's cold, when Buffalo's probably coming to Miami when they put them on the wrong side of the field and it's 110 degrees and the sun's shining in the wrong direction. We've seen that happen, right? Same things what we're talking about with the NFL draft coming up, with the frozen tundra, Green Bay versus Minnesota. When you talk about the Chicago Bears and the Packers, those rivalries. I mean, the Steelers versus the Bengals, the Steelers versus the Ravens. You take those away. You can't have that happen. You can't have that happen. We've saw already change with Major League Baseball. Well, now they're playing multiple teams every year. They're trying to even out the schedule, make the divisions a little smaller, and just so they can get people to make sure that Mike Trout plays in your city every other year. Like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
I could go on with this rampage and this rant for days, and I feel like I could make multiple cases to why this is a terrible idea. I think this one will fail miserably. I think that this one will not pass whatsoever.
I really hope not. I really hope not. But that being said, like you said it best, I could go all day. Let's talk about the next one. What do we got fired up?
Yeah, let's go with the next one here. Detroit gives another one as well. Talks about, I mean, they put a couple in actually. Detroit also said one about excluding from the 90 player limit about injured reserves on a day, or roster reduction of 53 players. We're not going to get into that one, but that's one of the proposals. But one more that Detroit did put in was to eliminate an automatic first down as a penalty imposed for defensive holding and illegal contact. Let me put a caveat into this before I get your take, because I know your take is hot in this one. The Detroit Lions are the one that proposed this. Yes. They were second in the league in most penalties, most first down penalties against, because of defensive holding this past season. An interesting case for why they are like, hey, we should probably get rid of
penalized for that.
Should defensive holding and illegal contact result in an automatic first down?
Well, here's my thing. My comment is not about whether or not I think this will pass, because I do think that Detroit presenting this, the committee is going to be like, bro, like, this is a problem for you. Figure it out. But I do,
bro.
Yeah, literally. But I was thinking about it, and I was like, actually, why do we have automatic first downs at all? Why is that something that we're even doing in football? The more I think about it, I feel like you can give them the yardage, and then we replay the down. And I had these conversations all day on Twitter. And it's like, oh, well, then they're just going to grab the jerseys. Well, in college football, it's a 15-yard penalty. It's not even a spot foul, right? And it's just, boom. I think they get a first down, but it's, the element of not the spot. But the element of not the spot foul and the 15 yards is abused at sometimes. The guy's beat. He'll just try to tackle him, prevent the ball from being caught, give up the touchdown. And they move it up 15 yards, and we move on with it. But guess what? You don't get to tackle them every time. If you get burnt so bad, see ya. That's just the end of the story. So I do think that there is some wiggle room in there, but I was thinking about it, like, why do we even give them first downs? Like, was it other than like a personal foul, like something egregious? Let's just move the ball up and give them another try, because then everyone's like, oh, well, they'll just do it over and over. I'm like, then don't do it over and over. Don't just give them the first down. Don't 4th and 20. Don't do it 4 times. Just
I planned on walking into this conversation and actually disagreeing with you on this one, but the more I think about it, defensive holding and illegal contact, I'm okay with that one not being an automatic first down. Now, if pass interference was in this rule, if they were saying that is where I would be like, no, we need the automatic first down for pass.
No, you don't, because that's what they farm it, dude. They throw the deep ball late in games just to get the call, to get the first down, or to get the spot foul. That penalty needs to be assessed. Whether the first down thing, fine, but the farming of the deep balls is like, it's just broken.
Okay,
I don't love it.
Right.
I don't love it. That's my opinion. I can be wrong.
It's fine. It's fine. I don't know how I feel about that one. I'm trying to think if I want to go with you or not, because I don't disagree that they farm it, but at the same time, it's more of like, I kind of like we're coming at you. You know what's about to happen. Stop it.
I agree. I agree, but it just puts too much in the ref's hands for me. It's
okay. In the eyes of that, and I agree, because I don't want any type of in the eyes of that, I agree with that one.
That's just,
can that one get passed? I think that one could get passed. I don't think it will. I think it could. I don't think it will either. I think we're 0 for 2 on this one. I think this one's getting passed because I think we've heard about it way too many times. The Green Bay Packers asked to amend Rule 12, Section 1 to prohibit an offensive player from pushing a teammate who was lined up directly behind the snapper and receives the snap immediately after the snap. That is the word for words, a.k.a. the Tush Push.
The Tush Push.
I think that we are going to see some sort of amendment of the Tush Push. I don't think it's going to get banned, so say, but I think it's going to have some sort of amendment. Reason that I say that is, we talk about this on the other side of the ball. The defense had some issues with this. Special teams had some issues with this. You couldn't touch the long snapper when they were, touch them.
I was a long snapper in high school. Hand up. I'm very familiar with those
because
rules. Yeah,
that is a player safety thing. That is absolutely. If you've played football, you 100% know that you shouldn't touch the long snapper because they're not focused on you. They're not trying to,
It's not
have
a
that
fun
type of
deal.
immediate block. So I agree with that. Now, if they're going to try and push this for player safety, I think that's where it fails.
Hmm.
I think that's where it fails because I don't think player safety is a big deal when it comes to tush push, man. I really don't. I mean, how many players get hurt in this?
It's a very low injury play. They've done the
And what
studies
is
the
so
last few years.
different than the quarterback sneak than just having another player push you? I mean, at this end of the day, if a running back is in a pile and an offensive lineman gets back and gets a little bit of a push on that running back, we're not
Is
saying
that
anything
now a
about that.
penalty? Yeah.
Right.
I
So I
I
think there's
don't
going to be some sort of amendment. I don't think we're going to wind up saying like, okay, the Eagles tush push is completely banned. But I think that what we have seen over the past couple of years with the Eagles tush push, I think we are going to not see that anymore. Something's going to be amended. What we saw last year will not be the same this year in the eyes of that. That's where my mind goes. I don't think they
actually,
should because it's back at me with that same kind of conversation that you had with the pass interference kind of thing. You know what's coming. You know,
yep,
on 4th and 1, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to line up that way and they're going to just
punch
go
it
ahead and
in.
make the tush push. They're going to do that. Find a way to stop it.
Yeah. Well, the argument of 1st and 9 is very real, and it's
Yeah.
pretty much a given. Now I will say this: I don't know whether or not actually your point of maybe just making a small change, maybe an amendment of some sort. I think that's a really actually a pretty strong case there. There is a chance that something like that it could go down, but I'm not so much concerned about like what's going to happen. I just want to talk about like should it? And in my eyes, you can't change the play. It's not the same as special teams. The defense is all pushing just as much as the offense is on these plays. It's not an issue of the defense isn't allowed to push. Actually, the defense, the only disadvantage they really have is they don't know when the ball's getting snapped. But when you look at the plays of like the defense is like pretty close to that neutral zone that we don't really talk so much about anymore, where the ball, like they can't be over the tip of the ball kind of thing. And I'm not getting nitty gritty into the rules here. I'm not an official, but to make the argument that it's broken and one team can't do it, like if they can do it better than everybody, we shouldn't be able to have it. Like, no, they're just really good at it. Like Tom Brady to Randy Moss was that broken? Should that have just been a penalty every time? I don't think that you would have agreed with that one. So why is it that when you have a quarterback who could squat 600 pounds and you've got one of the best offensive lines in football, now it's a problem? You're
Yeah.
mad that they built their team and they are able to utilize their strengths. That's where I have an issue with it. But I do, I could see a small change to it. I don't think that's impossible.
Yeah,
They're
I
gonna have
wonder
to
if that
bend.
small change is something like you can't have the running backs or the players behind the quarterback in a formation so close to them,
Yeah, it's
or
like
they have to
you have
line
to be
up
a yard
like
back.
something. I mean, I could see that sort of change, a small amendment, nothing too crazy. Now, for the record, these proposals, if they want to get approved, have to be approved by 75%, which means
It's a
24 of
lot.
the owners have to agree to any of these to be adopted. So when you think of that number, 24, you're already down one because Philly's not going to agree to
Yeah,
this.
the Eagles probably not voting for that one.
Are the Bills? Probably not. You got Josh
Probably
Allen.
not.
I mean, are the Colts now? You got Daniel Jones. I
Yeah,
mean, it's his only job. Indiana Jones, his only job in the temple of the
Indiana
tush push.
Jones.
The only job. Indiana Jones. That's a t-shirt. I mean,
That
come on.
is. We're
Come on.
pumping them out.
75%. That's a lot. Going
That's
back
a
to the
lot
what
of
we just said
owners.
earlier with the defense of holding illegal contact, I can't see 24 owners being okay with that.
No,
With
it's hard
the
to
higher
pass
seeds in the
much of
playoffs, I
this,
can't
man.
see 24 owners being okay with that because just alone, you're talking AFC South and NFC South. I don't think a single owner is going to be like, yeah, let's
No.
do that. So that's
No,
8 right there.
because that's how they get home playoff games. They've done it for years, and I
Yeah,
love that part of the game. I'm not saying that
me too.
I don't have anything wrong with that. But yeah, for them to be
You
like,
got
you
to
know
grow.
what?
You got to continue to grow the game. Although the NFL is completely doing a great job with this compared to some of the other sports in North America. Although you see MLB just recently went to Japan. Although that was at what 6 in the morning East Coast time, they still found a way to play baseball out in Japan. They're trying to grow the game. They have a lot of international players. I get that. NFL is still champ. They're still running away
Mhm.
with all this, but you can't back down. And I think if you added a team or a rule like this where you completely just eliminate divisions, basically, then
Yeah,
and take away home playoff games to the New Orleans Saints if they win the division. If they win the division going 6-11, which is quite possible in the NFC South,
yeah.
then you can make that happen. Yeah, so I disagree with that. Final rule change here, and I like this one because I think this one kind of This one makes sense. Be honest with you. Philadelphia Eagles asked to amend Rule 16, Section 1 to align the postseason and regular season overtime rules by granting both teams an opportunity to possess the ball regardless of the outcome of the first possession, subject to a 15-minute overtime period in regular season. So it's kind of still a little hybrid because it's only still a 15-minute overtime period. Means a tie can still happen. Obviously, you can't have ties in the playoffs. So, when you're talking about that, that's probably the only hybrid portion that would be different.
Mm-hmm.
But this goes to that Kansas City Buffalo Bills, the AFC Championship rule a few years ago. Now you push it into the regular season. You don't let a coin flip decide the rules in the regular season. Now, the only pushback is you've already made an extra game on the season. You've already added 17 games. Why would you want to add more time to the game in overtime? They've already made 15 minutes, the longest it can go. So what's the big deal there? And it's really only one extra possession, maybe. I like this rule. I think having the same type of expectations in regular season and in postseason. I mean, how many teams were just one game away from making the playoffs last year? This is something where if they didn't have a chance, I don't have any stats in front of me, but let's say one of those teams that just missed the playoffs went to overtime last year and never had a chance to touch the ball. That could have changed their fate. This rule would at least give them one shot in the regular season to help them decide their fate later on when it is snowing outside, like it is right now in Iowa.
Yeah, no, literally. I'm looking at these overtime rules, but this is all outdated. I don't know why. For some reason, Google's only giving me things that are 3 years old. I'd seen something recently, like the percentage of teams that win the coin toss that win overtime is like, it was a way higher number than 50%. Like it was like direct. There was a correlation, and so I for one thing, can't believe that they were split, like the overtime regular season versus postseason. Why are they different?
Well, it's because the rule just came in a couple of years ago because of the AFC Championship game a few years ago.
But then why? What was their argument for not putting it on the regular season?
Right. When they proposed the rule a few years ago, it should have just been a universal rule.
All of the games.
They were focused on making sure it never happened in the playoffs because they didn't want to have their baby, the NFL playoffs, be affected. And this goes back to the whole thing about the first rule we talked about. They're not going to mess up the NFL playoffs. That rule is not going to get approved. But I think they should have just made it a universal rule. I think if they would have made it universal, it would have got approved. I think this is just the owner saying, hey, we messed up, guys. We need to make sure this is a universal rule.
I do wonder if that's the argument, is that they didn't go for the whole cake. They just took a piece of it where they're like, you know what? I don't know if we'll get it passed if we go for every game. Let's just get it passed for the playoffs, kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm not.
Or maybe they used it to test it. Maybe they used it to test it because it's not a full season. And then they realized, hey, the overtime rule in the playoffs is great. People love it. Let's make it a thing.
Yeah. Either way,
people are still complaining about the regular season overtime rules. I mean, it's stupid.
Oh, well, they are. They should be. Why?
There was a time where if you kicked the field goal at the end of the first drive, that was game. It was sudden death period. And then they changed the rule a little bit to be like, if you score a touchdown, it's over. But if you kick a field goal, the other player gets a chance. So then they amended it a little bit. So this isn't the First Amendment in overtime rules here.
Let's just go to 2018 college rules. 2018 college overtime rules before the new 2-point conversion thing. That was the best version of overtime. There's not even a debate.
I would love that. Honestly, I think that there needs to be more universal laws or rules, if you will, between
across
college
sports.
and NFL. Between college and NFL. Yeah. I mean, like right now, how exciting is it to see kickoff returns in college? And then you go to the NFL and see this thing, which has like 2 lines of scrimmage. I can't. I'm not into it yet. I know it's only been 1 year. Maybe it'll grow on me. It's not for me. Like, what's Devin Hester think right now?
Yeah, I do. I'm curious. I'm glad they kept it in the game. Like Pat McAfee always says, like if this is what it takes to keep it in the game, then at least we keep it in the game. I'm glad they did that, but it is kind of
reminds me when I was in Pee Wee football. Man, we didn't do kickoffs. We just started at the 35-yard line.
Yeah, I mean, what they should have done was potentially just move the kicker way the hell back. Just put them on like their own goal line and go from there, instead of this whole formation thing. And it's not that I'm necessarily against it. Like I said, I'm glad that they're still kicking it, but it is kind of odd. I'm not gonna lie. It's not exactly pretty. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, some of these rules aren't pretty either, and I don't think a lot of them are going to get approved. I mean, just thinking about it, let's go a quick yes, no, real fast. I know we've gone way over time on this, but this was definitely do it.
This was
Yes,
new.
no, yes, no. The playoff rule with the seeding, is that going to change?
No.
No, me neither. The tush push, is that going to change?
Oh, like what's a yellow? I think you're right. There might be an
It's got to be
amendment.
yes or no. So if it's yellow, it's a yes.
If it's a yellow, it's a no. I'm taking no for
Okay,
me.
I'm going yes
My
on
mental.
that one. I love it. The overtime rule, I say yes. I think that changes.
I think that goes. Yep.
Okay, and then the penalty imposed for defensive holding and illegal contact, automatic first downs eliminated. Yes or no?
I don't think it does. I wish
Yeah,
it would.
I don't think that one does either. 24 are too much. Too many. So I
It's
think
a lot
the only
of
ones that
people.
change, tush push and the overtime rules. I agree with that. All right, let's head on to. We got some Aaron Rodgers news, and
Let's
this is
go.
news where
I'm waiting for
could
this.
it could clear some things up. I mean, we obviously don't know what's going on with him. I think those AirPods that he had in have
Mm,
like really good battery because I think he's still walking on the beach, man. I honestly don't think we're going to hear from him for quite some time. The breeze must be nice. I mean,
yeah.
waves must be good. The temperature, he's not on a beach in Iowa, right? So
I was just thinking, like, when is this invite coming?
it's got to, I mean, that's maybe the problem. Maybe that's it.
Maybe I need to check my mail.
Maybe he sends puzzles. And the first
Ooh.
step was find your other windshield wiper.
If that's the case, Aaron, you are one smart cookie
This
because
could
I
be
will
some glass
never
onion
make it.
shit, dude. This could be some glass onion shit.
I would never make it if he did that. Please, don't put those thoughts in my head. Oh
Anyways,
man.
the Vikings have rejected multiple trade calls on JJ McCarthy, telling other teams they're moving forward with him as quarterback. The team plans to add a veteran, but they are not pursuing Aaron Rodgers at this time. JJ McCarthy now enters the offseason as QB1. So
Ah,
before we get into the Rodgers talk, how cool is that we finally have some clarity on the Minnesota Vikings, a team that, as if the new rules of seeding would have happened this year, would have been the number 2 seed in the NFC, the second best team. They didn't have a great end to their season. Thanks Sam Darnold to that. It helped you with a payday in Seattle. But now it's
yeah,
time for JJ McCarthy to step forward. Had a great career at Michigan. I mean, he looked pretty good in
yeah,
preseason before he got hurt last year. There's a lot of upside to this kid. What do you think about him, Justin Jefferson and Aaron Jones? I mean,
yeah,
you got to put them in the same conversation as if Aaron Rodgers was playing quarterback for
yeah.
them, right?
Yeah, he's got all the same weapons at his disposal there. This is a super exciting one. It's similar to like how I felt about Drake May, but not the same at all, if that makes any sense. Like the anticipation to see what Drake May could do was a very thrilling kind of feel. When is he going to get in? What's he going to be able to do when he gets in there? Especially for him with like he was the Bugatti in the motorhome picture.
Oh,
That's who Drake May was. Now that's not a direct shot, but obviously it's pretty clear when you pick up a franchise quarterback that he's kind of going to be a Bugatti. Anyways,
make it a
for
direct
JJ
shot. Yeah.
McCarthy, yeah, for JJ McCarthy, it's kind of that like now I want to know what he can do because we have seen some very promising things, but then you had to sit out and then the team succeeded and now they've got all these weapons and it seems like he's really going into a really, really good situation here. And obviously coming from that class, I am excited. I'm very excited to see. It looks like it's a great situation to find yourself in, but you got to remember he's not mentally a rookie, but he is still like going to have to adjust to the pace of the game. And I'll be kind of curious to see how that goes. But man, to get to be a quote unquote rookie with Justin Jefferson, are you kidding me? That's unbelievable.
Okay, Nick, let me put it here. Should I play devil's advocate now?
Yes.
I think I should. Let's play this game with the NFC North. Obviously, Green Bay Packers. You got the Detroit Lions. You got the Chicago Bears, the
Bear
Bears,
down.
who are finding a way to build in the trenches. Is there a possibility that we're hyping up this Minnesota Vikings team with Rodgers or without Rodgers? Now we know it's without Rodgers. So with JJ McCarthy, where if you have a rookie quarterback, if you will, and I say that in quotations because he's going to be like a rookie after being injured, are you going to have a likely regression next year? And here's why I say that. This team could easily be back to the top of the NFC North, but I could easily see them at the bottom of the North as well.
What?
because they were 8-1 last year in
In
one-score
close,
games.
yeah, close game. Same
They
thing with the
had
Chiefs.
9
Yep.
come from behind wins and 3 fourth-quarter
Actually,
comebacks.
I think that if my mind is right, which it rarely is, wasn't it like 3 years ago that they had the wicked good record in one-score games, and then they took a step back, and then this last year they were good? Or did they have 2 good years back to back?
I
I
can't
think they
remember.
had I think they had a year in between. It was the year of the Justin Jefferson crazy catch against the Bills. I believe that was while back. So then there's that year where they just did not lose one-score games. And then I think they had a year in between where they were not very good in one-score games, and then last year. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but maybe we're seeing a pattern. So that would mean next
Right?
year they don't win any of the one-score games, and then the year after, that's Minnesota Vikings football, baby. That's
Maybe we're just 1 year away. Maybe this is the year to build JJ up, get him excited, get his feet wet, make sure he's
yeah.
feeling good and strong in the trunk of his pants, just ready to go. I mean, you got to make sure he's good, man. You got to make sure he's ready to roll.
I know you didn't
So
say anything wrong, but can we get a shirt that says "Get JJ in his trunk"? I just feel like that is like I like that. I don't even know what that means. I just
it's
I think that's
provocative. No one
awesome.
knows what it
It is.
means.
No one knows what it means. So,
It's
anyways, Aaron
provocative. Gets
Rodgers
the
then
people going.
obviously Aaron Rodgers is the byproduct then of this decision to go with JJ McCarthy. Do you think he retires now? That's the question. Is it Steelers or retirement?
I mean, I wouldn't want to go anywhere else. Where would you want to go? Is this one of these situations now where, I mean, because we haven't heard from him, right? We don't even know if he wants to play. So that's one thing. The Steelers, I think, are in a tough situation right here. Now, we haven't even put out some of the other options for the Steelers. Obviously, Russell Wilson's still out there, but that's going to be an interesting relationship if he comes back because, I mean, they didn't bring him back in the first place right now. So, you brought the team to a playoffs, but oh, hey, by the way, we're going to wait on another guy who was with the Jets last year, a terrible organization. Maybe that'll work for us. There's a
Right.
talks about maybe trading for Kirk Cousins, although he just got a $10 million deal to become the backup quarterback for the Falcons. I mean, Joe Milton could be traded still. We don't know what's going on with Joe Milton, right?
Yeah,
There's
potentially.
a lot of other
Potentially.
options. I think Aaron Rodgers shot himself in the foot on this one um, if he wanted to play again. If he wanted to play
Mm,
again, the fact that he is being quiet and doing the whole mysterious Aaron Rodgers thing, keeping everyone in the dark, quite literally this time, then I think that he shot himself in the foot. Now, if he wants to be a Pittsburgh Steeler, he's still got some leverage because we're still talking about him, and the
yeah.
Steelers haven't ruled him out. So, meaning he has leverage, meaning he can wait as long as he wants, apparently. But I think that deadline has to be. I mean, we're 5 weeks away from the NFL draft, as we mentioned. It's got to be at least 3 weeks. Got to give this team a couple weeks to prepare for the draft. I mean, right now, you are making this organization do double the work. You are making them say, okay, we are going to prepare for the draft, prepare for the rest of free agency as Aaron Rodgers is our QB1. Okay, you half of the staff, go do that. And then
Mhm.
you half of the staff, we need to focus as we need to go get our quarterback in the NFL draft, or we need to make this type of move. What kind of needs do we need now? Doing that 4 weeks ahead of the draft, 5 weeks ahead of the draft, when you're trying to become another playoff team where we all know that the AFC is a very tough place to become a playoff team, especially if you don't have a quarterback. The Bengals could be a team that takes it over from them. The Patriots could. Who
Yeah.
knows? Right?
No, I agree.
So you have to get some answers now. You got to find a way to get some answers. If I'm Mike Tomlin, if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, if I'm the GM of the Steelers, if I am that organization, if you don't have an answer by this Monday, like personally, I'm making that deadline a lot shorter. I'm
Yeah.
moving on. I think you
Get it
have to.
get it in.
I think you
Yeah.
got to make some phone calls to New England, see what the price for Joe Milton is, try to bring it down from a third, which is rumored to be a third, try to get that to a fourth maybe, and maybe make that move regardless. Because
I
if you
think
get Rodgers, then you got a bridge. But yeah, man, interesting stuff on that one.
I've had inside talks with allegedly very high up people in the Patriots organization. If you want to get them off of the third, you need to go with a fourth, and then it would be a George Pickens and DK. So it'd be a big package. And then they would get Joe Milton, which is what it's worth. I mean, actually, they're probably getting a steal there. But yeah, no, as far as quarterback for the Steelers, obviously Rodgers is a solid option. And I've said, I think that the Jets organization just cursed, kind of like the football guys just don't want them to succeed. Maybe they end up going with Joe Milton. Whatever the case might be, I think that a great option for them is the draft. And I think it's a perfect segue. It's like literally all I'm thinking about right now as we're having this conversation is, well, what could the Steelers do in the draft? So let's talk about it. I'll let you kind of go here in a sec, but the Steelers, for reference, are picking at 21 right now as it sits with no trades in this year's draft.
Yeah, and for the sake of the conversation, we obviously want to get a little bit of draft talking today. 5 weeks away, NFL draft, so things are bound to change. There's going to be trades. But for the sake of this conversation, let's just keep everybody in the same spot. Now, we are going to have some episodes coming out, long form and short form videos, so be sure to stay tuned, where we go through every single team and do mock drafts that include trades and no trades. We're going to do that all in the next 5 weeks. Got plenty of stuff coming on the channel. But in this case, how many quarterbacks are going to be taken in the first round, right? We just talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers, who could be. Although Geno Smith went to the Oakland Raiders, like, do they still decide to grab a quarterback? There's rumors that they still might do it, right? What do the Jets do? Is Justin Fields a bridge guy? Do they decide to grab a person, or are they okay with it? The Giants, we still don't know what's going on. The Browns, the Titans. There are a lot of teams that could use a quarterback. New Orleans Saints, like, are they okay with Derek Carr? Is Spencer Rattler their player moving forward, right?
Yeah, is that who they're trusting?
I don't think so, right? So there are a lot of players. But how many of these draft prospects are seen as first-round talent? I think we can easily say that Cam Ward is going to be drafted in the first round, maybe even 1-1.
I think he's
most
going
likely
1-1.
1-1. I think if you are the Tennessee Titans, you are absolutely wild to pass up on Cam Ward.
I agree.
And I've gone back and forth with this a couple times, but the more I watch from him, and I'm about to say something crazy. I'm about to jump up on the rooftop here and say something wild. You ready?
I think I'm ready.
NFL.com said that he has shades of Ben Roethlisberger because of the way he plays hero ball. I'm going to go that one step farther. I think that if this guy continues to play at the type of level he can and show a little bit of discipline, he could be a Josh Allen.
Oh my. That's a wild one.
Him step up and be like a Josh Allen. Mobile.
Yeah.
He's 6'2", so he's a little shorter, obviously. That's why the Big Ben shade's kind of weird, but it's because he's so strong in the pocket. He's able to evade really well. He makes really nice off-balance throws good balls. He's not afraid to be mobile as well. And the thing about the cons about him being hero ball is interesting, but Josh Allen had that issue at the beginning of his career. He found a way to utilize it into his strength and actually become very disciplined this past season, got him an MVP. I think if Cam Ward has the right coaching, and I don't know if Tennessee is the right place for that, to be completely honest, but if he has the right coaching to send him on the league, this guy could be an MVP caliber player.
Yeah, I think there's unbelievable talent and top side for Cam Ward. And honestly, obviously you see all the Cyclone stuff behind me here. Witnessing what he did in the Pop-Tart Bowl in the first half was just like beyond electric. It was really, really cool to get to see because I didn't watch that many Miami games. Obviously, that's the process that we're going through now, but live in person, like kind of taking on who's Iowa State got this week. Boom, it's Miami. Holy cow, this guy is absolutely unbelievable. Immediately goes up in draft stock for myself right away. And so I think Cam Ward is going 1-1. The conversation around Shedeur is a wild one. I don't know if he really deserves to be that high up, but right now I don't hate him being potentially the second quarterback off the board. I think Jackson Dart is very, very solid prospect. Quinn Ewers, that is out of Texas. Kyle McCord from Syracuse, another big name to look for. And then Jalen Milroe, I'm pretty sure you ran like a 4-1-1 by the Alabama Twitter today.
Wasn't that fast, but I think it was 4.39. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, based on the video, I think that they maybe looked at the numbers and said what looks good in the tweet.
3 flat.
Yeah, you got to put the U after there, and it's like, oh well, technically it wasn't official. Neither here nor there. So obviously, but Jalen Milroe in games is pulling away from teams. So I'm not saying he's slow. I'm just actually kind of clowning their social media because I was like, that was not a 4-3, whatever. And then there's other big names. There's tons of names here. Dylan Gabriel, Will Howard. I cannot believe that Will Howard is this low on this list. He looked terrible at the combine, but like
You know who
What's
else looked
new?
terrible at the combine? JJ McCarthy last year.
Yeah, like they're throwing to guys that they just aren't familiar with. The timing's off, and the actual distance, and like everything about that, right? So it's just an opportunity to get upside potentially. But the way I look at it is these guys are going to be more focused on their tape anyways. So to see the draft stock fall that much didn't make sense for me. So out of all of those dudes, yeah, I don't think all of those will go in the first
No,
round. So the Steelers have
no.
an opportunity to take obvious, like that would be can you imagine if all of those guys got taken in the first round? There'd be some panic buttons being hit all over the place. And so the Steelers can absolutely get a really solid quarterback talent at I think they're what I say 21, and you could even trade up a little bit if there's some pressure. But I don't see a ton of pressure. So like maybe it's the this is CBS's model. I don't think that this is accurate, but the way that it lays it out, it's like Jalen Milrow and Will Howard. Apparently, Will Howard's going like the freaking 5th round based on this. Like those
That's
are
probably true.
steals. Yeah,
It's
you could
probably
probably
true.
get him. I think he's first round talent, but you could probably get him in the 2nd or 3rd round, and still be. I mean, you could be cooking with that, guys.
When it comes to quarterbacks, you can get them, even though they might be seen as a 2nd or 3rd round talent, you can get them in the 4th and 5th round because of leverage, because you know that 12
Yeah, that's
teams
true.
aren't going to draft a quarterback. So you know that you have other teams that are going to prioritize defensive line, edge, wide receiver, cornerback, so you can keep pushing the quarterback down the line. That's the
Yeah,
reason why that happens. It's not because of them sucking. Like, it has nothing to do with if Will Howard goes in the 5th round, like, doesn't mean that he's a 5th round type of quarterback. I mean, Russell Wilson won Super Bowls at Seattle, and he was a 3rd round pick. I mean, that just happens. I will say this though, I did see something on social media talking about the Steelers, since we are on that topic, about maybe him having a conversation, and they did a visit with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Jalen Milrow and the Steelers.
hmm
One thing that they say about Jalen Milrow, of why he is not a great quarterback for the NFL, is his hand size. Do you remember the last quarterback they said that about?
Was it Senor
Kenny
Kenny
Pickett.
Pickett?
Yeah. So would that make Steelers fans a little bit anxious? I think it might. I think it
Yeah.
might. Shadur Sanders is an interesting one. I agree with you as well. But to me, I think he fits the idea of what some of these top round teams are trying to build.
Oh
Look what he
yeah.
did at
No,
Jackson State.
definitely.
He had not the greatest talent around him, found a way to win. Now, was at the FCS level? Sure, got you. But going to Colorado was a terrible team in the Big 12 before Dion and Shador brought them over. And in his first year, they found a way to win some games against Nebraska, TCU. Like, they found a way to do that.
Yeah, the TCU one was awesome.
It was an insane game, right? And it definitely changed the narrative to how people thought about Colorado moving forward, although they didn't make a bowl game that year. But it was still an exciting time to be a college fan. Sanders was right in the front of that. If you go to PFF grades, out of 306 qualified quarterbacks, he had a 90.9 grade. That was the 8th best quarterback in all of college football last year. He did that with a Colorado team that, I mean, wasn't amazing. I mean, in 2 years, they completely
Oh,
revamped that
yeah.
entire roster, right? They told people to leave. What was the thing Deion Sanders said, that he brought his own Louis Vuitton or whatever the case is?
Yeah,
Um,
he
he had some quotes. He had some
he had
quotes.
some
He's
exodus.
always
Yeah.
got quotes. He's always got quotes,
I
right?
love that man though. He
I
is
do
awesome.
too. I love what he's doing with the game. Regardless, I think Shador Sanders, if he goes to one of those teams that need a quarterback to rely on, like the Cleveland Browns, like the New York Giants, he can change the culture. And if that
Yeah.
team needs to continue to build around him before they're successful first, I think he's a patient enough quarterback to do that. Now, if he goes to New York, you're going to hear some crazy press conferences. There's no doubt about that. Can you imagine Shador Sanders in New York media? Like, that's going to be
Oh
wild.
my goodness. Yeah. No, I can't. So then what you're saying is it's probably Cam 1. This is all preemptive, kind of
Shador
wrapping
2.
this
I
whole
think I think
thing
it's
up.
Cam
Yep.
1, Shador 2. Yeah, it's a crazy show here.
And then I think probably Dart 3, and then or
Dart's
maybe Ewers.
rushing up it. Now, I don't think
Ewers or
Ewers.
Dart
I could see
or
Ewers being a 7th round draft pick,
6-7.
my dude.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. Then
Yeah.
I was just gonna throw in like Milrow. I think Howard is better than Milrow. Like McCord put up wild numbers at Syracuse. Those are all kind of like it's like which QB fits your model best.
Yep.
It's not necessarily talent at that point. It's like which one do we want to which strengths do we want to build around? What kind of program do we want to run? And so I think that's a great opportunity for the Steelers to have if they end up not going with Aaron Rodgers, or picking up Joe Milton for basically you have to sell the farm for him apparently. And I think that's the right move. I think the dude's an absolute baller.
You just
But
want the farm, man.
I would like the farm. I certainly would. And a windshield wiper. But at the end of the day, I think the Steelers have options. I don't think if I'm a Steelers fan, I'm not concerned right now. And I'm blanking on his name that they've got right now that they're thinking
Mason
about wheeling
Rudolph,
out.
baby.
Mason Rudolph. Yes, I knew it had an M in it. Mason Rudolph. Like Steelers fans seem to be okay with that as well. So it's a good spot to be in if you're a Steelers fan.
If I'm the Steelers, I'm trading back and drafting the quarterback in the second round because I think the only for sure quarterbacks that are going in round 1 are Cam and Shador. I think Jackson Dart finds a way to go up to get into the first round as well, maybe. But when you look at the rest of the draft and how it lines up, I think that we're going to get maybe 3 at most. If I'm the Steelers, I'm trading back or trading back into the top of the second round at the beginning of Friday and then taking my quarterback of choice that's left, like a Jalen Milroe, like a Will Howard, like a
Similar to the
Leonard.
Bills last year, right?
What's that?
Similar to the Bills last year, trading back from I think they
Yeah, they were
traded away the
30s.
Worthy pick, didn't they?
Yep, they did. Yep.
And then they were like
Trading with the
first
Chiefs and
pick
moving back.
round 2.
Yep,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, so that's something that I would do if I was the Steelers, build a little more capital or make your pick in round 1 that's not a quarterback and then trade back into the top of the second, whatever the case may be. But either way, I don't think the Steelers should draft a quarterback round 1. I think they have the leverage being in the 20s not to do that. But you never know because last year, did you expect Michael Penix to get drafted by the Falcons? Because I certainly didn't.
That was a shocker. I will say though, like I said, I've said this on the show. I thought that was a good pick. I thought the Patriots could have taken him. I thought, but nobody really saw it coming. That there was a lot of uproar about that one.
A lot more to talk about tomorrow here on the 32 Blueprint. We're going to talk some Houston Texans because they did even more stuff with their defense, solidifying the defense yet again. And of course, some other news will certainly pop up. We'll have that covered for you here tomorrow as we continue on this path of the 32 Blueprint. Thank you for watching. Be sure to hit subscribe. We are bringing it to you every single day. Take care, guys.